So do you think, does the European Union still have its transformative power when it comes to fundamental rights and freedoms?
In my opinion, it does. It is actually laying on these fundamental values and that are common to the EU countries and actually of society in which inclusion, I don't know, tolerance, rule of law, justice, solidarity prevail, and non-discrimination, talking about migration issue. So these values are actually integral part of European way of life. And talking about these values, and when you ask, can European Union be strong as it is when, I would say, when trying to export these values, it's maybe, okay, maybe it's now tackling with lots of internal issues with this vaccination, things that are politically not used in a good sense, but let's see European Union globally, and let's talk about how it protects actually equality, rule of law, human rights, especially for the countries that I mentioned that are trying to become EU member countries. And since I'm dealing a lot with the Western Balkan region, I would say that this is important for the Western Balkan countries, that through this process of approaching both NATO and the European Union, accept and implement these fundamental rights in their policies. And it is visible that implementation of these fundamental rights become actually visible in everyday life of citizens, of people who live in those countries. They are not only politically important, they are important for people who live in these countries. Okay, let me just add a little bit more about Western Balkans, since I started to talk about it. One way of approaching the Western Balkan countries in the process of their approaching, the European Union and trying to become member countries, it is regional cooperation. And when talking about regional cooperation, they will show how they implement these values that they implement because of the process of trying to become EU member countries, and therefore having better also regional cooperation. So I a little bit jumped from topic to topic, but I tried to explain your question from the perspective of one region that is of my interest and that is actually giving its best to implement these fundamental rights and trying to and not trying, but that these rights are visible in the everyday of people's lives, and especially now when we talk about this solidarity, human rights, etc. I mean, I don't want to mention all these rights, of course, but I think I did try to prove my point about how European Union is strong, although maybe due to all these challenges, it doesn't seem at the moment as such.
Maybe adding to that, in the context of this, the question would also be when it comes to the institutions within the European Union, and also to how democratic these institutions are, be it the Commission, the Council, the Parliament. What would you say? Like, what would be what reforms would the European Union need to be doing in order to regain trust when it comes to also fulfilling in a democratic way of way?
Yeah, that's really a tough question. Again, $1 million question. The answer would be actually, we know that the goals of the European Union are to promote peace, to promote values and well-being of its citizens. Living in this world that is full with challenges, it is rather difficult to show that I wouldn't say European Union, but that all countries, all member countries, are really going into one direction. And it's not a problem from yesterday. It's not a problem from that arose in this pandemic. It's a problem that exists for quite some time. Actually, ever since the common foreign and security policy started to be important, ever since Solana was trying to present it in the EU strategy, how EU member countries should strive towards one goal. And why did I take this? Is because it would improve not only internal situation among countries, it would also improve what we talked about, international role of European Union. So also let's not forget about European Union being a very big, well, actually, I could say even the biggest provider of development aid, and that is also proving in a way the strength of the European Union internationally, but also within European Union, because it's trying to make this cohesion policy in the whole part of the European Union and beyond. Its neighborhood policy, its policy of possibility of trying to take new member countries, combating social exclusion and discrimination, etc., etc. So all of these things make European Union international important and a global player.
One more question, since this whole process of the conference on the future of Europe tries also to be very inclusive. So the idea is also to have a bottom-up approach, which means also to include civil society, the youth, in this discussion about how the European Union should look like in the future. So what would you say, how important is civil society, youth organizations, when it comes to defining the future of the European Union? And do you think they are able also to be part of this discussion? Do you see that?
Yes, of course, and it's not just a floskel. It is definitely a fact, and it's a proven fact that the civil societies, and especially now, let's take only this issue that I mentioned in the beginning about disinformation as the main challenge. European Union, NATO, and all of these big international organizations, they can tackle this challenge, let's say, but they cannot reach towards to citizens. They cannot reach so easily to citizens, and the civil society is making exactly that. Civil society is upgrading what these institutions are not able to do, because they are big. They are dealing with their internal problems, external, global problems. And civil societies, when they work within countries, they actually do what citizens need. It is exactly what I said about these values that when implemented in every country, they become part of the society and they influence the lives of every citizen. So that's how civil society actions are influencing the citizens. And when this bottom-up approach is taken, then results will be very visible. So as I said, it's not just that it's a sentence. Of course, civil society is very important. NGOs, their actions, and so on and so on. It is definitely with facts, shown facts of results. And results in the field, and of course, if I'm again can mention this information, civil society organizations, they contribute to additional education of people, how to recognize this information, how to be more literate when reading news digitally on social media, etc., etc. So that is only one example where we can see in action how civil society act and how their actions are recognized and actually visible in everyday life.
Thank you very much. Last question. What is your wish for the European Union in the next 5, 10 to 15 years? What would you think is like the most the best option, and how could the European Union transform if you would have a wish for free?
Yeah. Okay. It's a very tricky question, because not tricky in a way that I don't know what I would say, but tricky in a way because it's such a big and profound question. And again, I have to in a way try to look at that question and try to answer to that question, looking from the perspective of the region that is in the neighborhood of Croatia, and that is Western Balkan countries. We see how this open door of European Union has improved this regional cooperation here. And I think that that the future of European Union should be in being open to new members, of course, member countries that satisfy the conditions, and try to spread this area in this continent of countries that really live and sorry, not implement only, but really live these values that European Union is standing behind and is trying to give to all citizens and countries.